And as long as you think that everything is rare, everything is unique, everything is have to be found, everything this, they keeps you out of their business. And they can keep the price high. I want you to do some research because we all heard of uranium that make bombs. But the big bombs don't use uranium. They use plutonium. You know that. Do you know plutonium cannot be found on the earth? How can you make bombs out of plutonium when plutonium cannot be found naturally up on the earth? Are we going to Alpha Centauri and getting plutonium? Are we going to reticuli to get plutonium? No, we produce it. Alchemy is you can, if you have the catalyst, like the catalyst is how we turn crude oil into gasoline. We use a we use a catalyst. We use uh, chromium. We use all these different processes, and by using different processes, we're able to take one thing and turn it into something else. Alchemy was the study of transmutation, what it takes to turn one thing into another thing. The earth does this automatically by the pressure cooker at the center of this planet. Okay. It produces things. Okay. This is why we have to be kept ignorant. So let's talk about how transmutation works. Transmutation is the art of learning how to switch one thing into another thing. In English, is the art of taking flour, milk, and eggs. And you can make a cake, you can make tortillas, you can make a lot of things with those three ingredients just by mixing them different ways. And okay, you understand what I'm saying, don't you? If you know how to mix things together, you can just go crazy in the kitchen with the most basic of things. And this is why when I was a kid, I heard the story about from my great grandmother was still alive when I was a kid. Okay. And they even had welfare back in the early 1800s. She was talking about she got a bag of sugar and a bag of flour every month. Okay. And with that, there's no telling what she could do. Because back in those old days, there was no stores. You didn't go to the store and buy things. You just went and bought cornmeal. You bought flour. You bought this. And you had to mix it together. You had to be a chemist in the kitchen. The problem, moms still, a lot of moms are still chemists in the kitchen. The problem is a lot of our children today, they don't know how to mix chemicals in the kitchen. They don't know how to bake a cake. They don't know how to do anything by scratch. They only know how to go to the store and buy it. They've been domesticated. And they like it that way because it's hard to make money selling flour, milk, uh, you know, just the basic stuff. The demand and the profit is very, very limited. If you want to make giant money, you take it and mix it together, and then you sell the final product. And you go in there and you buy Twinkies, and you go in there and you buy, Oreo cookies, and you go in there and buy this and you buy that, and they're so expensive. But they're making that stuff for pennies. But they know how to mix it, and you don't. Okay. The same thing about what chemists used to do, what alchemists used to do. Some of the most complicated stuff is not modern stuff. Just like we know back a long time ago, Roman days, Greek days, long time ago, everything was made of brass. That's one thing science can't figure out. How did ancient man come up with brass? Brass is like learning how to make French pastry. You got to add a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of arsenic, a little bit of tin, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Where did they come up? Who gave them that recipe? See, today, what we do, we get tin out of South America and we get this other thing out of Africa and we're getting something out of Russia and we got these giant ships coming together and they're mixing all this stuff. People in ancient times couldn't do that. If they needed something, they could produce it. That's the reason alchemy exists in different forms all over the world. Chinese had their type of alchemy. In the Middle East, they had their form. In Europe, they had their form. Every culture had their secret alchemy recipes. So that is what transmutation is. So today, not all transmutation has to do with turning iron into gold. And that was the trick, lead into gold. That was the trick. When people say how you make gold, oh, I take lead and I see, that's just like somebody asking you, tell me your grandmother's recipe. Oh, I'll give it to you, all right. And you tell her everything wrong to make sure they can't do it. Because you're not giving nobody your grandmother's recipe. So we all been told it was trying to turn lead into gold and they couldn't do it and this and that and whatever and it was all fake. That is the reason why it kept you from trying to do it. Because they have the recipe and you don't. They know what chemicals to mix together, how to bake the cake, and how to do it, and voila. Just like if you want a wedding cake, you call on you make that phone call, you're going to pay several $100s for that cake, and it's going to be really, really good. And how come you couldn't have made it yourself for $20? Well, you have to pay somebody $200 to make a cake that you could have made in your kitchen because you don't have the recipe. Okay. We need to wake up, and we need to learn that the truth about things. They have hidden the truth from us for too long. Okay. And that everything on the earth is being produced. Man is producing everything. And a lot of things we're producing today is nothing like that was produced a long time ago. Okay. Well, all the medicine is produced. Everything is fake, artificial. Most of the gold, most of the silver, everything is produced. Okay. They control the supply. They control everything. They know what to mix together to produce whatever they want and what quantity they want. They control the price of gasoline. They control the price of oil. They control the price of milk and butter. They control the horizontal and the vertical. Okay, you get what I'm saying? They control everything. And it's up to them. If the price of in the grocery store go up or down, they decide. It has nothing to do with the farmers. Has nothing to do with how much oil is coming out of the ground, what you pay at the pump. When Trump was president, the price of oil went negative. It was a negative number. It was not even worth $1. Oil dropped to below 1 penny a gallon. At the pump, we were still paying $2 a gallon.